name is Amanda Reynolds, and I'm a clinical therapist at Recovery Pathways here in Shiawassee County. We have multiple different locations, but I primarily work here. I started off as an intern. I was really young, and I was pretty naive to what substance use was, but I knew I was really passionate about helping people. Once I got into working here and interning here, I slowly started to realize how much of an epidemic we were in and just the impact that not just this county but every county has on an opioid crisis, methamphetamine crisis, alcohol crisis, just substance use in general. I quickly started to realize that it's not just this one-way track for recovery, and there's not one person, gender, age, race that defines someone who would be considered an addict or dependent on a substance. My eyes were really open to what all of this is about. And the time that I was actually in my internship, one of my best friends from high school had died. He was drinking behind the wheel. And so when all of that kind of happened at the same time, I started to have this really big passion. And I started to realize that people needed to learn more, and I needed to learn more about it. So I started getting as much training as I could, as much education as I could, and I started working with clients. Now, 4 years later, I'm a certified advanced alcohol and drug counselor. I work anywhere from teenagers with a substance use disorder all the way to older adults with a substance use disorder. And my passion is to really talk to people about how this is a medical disease. We have so much research now that shows us the way that drugs and alcohol impact the different chemicals within our brain. We have brain studies that show us the brain of someone who is clean and the brain of someone who's actively using, and how that changes the way that we think, the way that we behave. And so I want people to learn more about that, and I want there to be less stigma surrounding it. I think that I just really love people to understand that it's not based off of I made one bad choice and now I'm an addict. It is a whole slew of things that happen, and our brain is really impacted heavily by that. And what people in recovery need is support. They need to realize that they're not alone, and they need to realize that they can learn tools, and that's what I do. I am a part of teaching them different coping mechanisms for anxiety, for depression. Maybe they went through trauma. Maybe they had the perfect childhood but were around the wrong people at the right time and it happened. And so it's my job to kind of help them through that, and I love to get them connected with resources and just being connected with different people. So I'm really passionate about what I do, but I know for me I was really naive to what it even was. And so now that I've done the research, I realize how necessary it is for parents, children, families, just anybody to really get a grasp for what substance use disorder really means. I think one of the biggest things that I would tell parents is to educate yourself, because a lot of times children, or whatever that age frame might be, I have clients who are full adults and they still struggle with connecting with their parents about this. I'd want parents to understand that there is so much shame and guilt connected to substance use, and a lot of times kids won't realize that it's a disorder until it gets to the point where it almost feels like it's too late, or the legal system gets involved, the juvenile department gets involved, school gets involved. There are behaviors that we can look for, but instead of shaming the children, the important thing is to have open conversations about it, and also to just be aware of some of those symptoms. If we have kids who are starting to slack off in school, they normally wouldn't, or they're in their rooms and they're isolating a lot more. If they're being very cautious about things that they're putting into their bags and what is in their vehicle, being aware of those things, but having helpful, healthy conversations about it, and also understanding it's not based off of whether a child or a kid is a bad kid or a good kid. I have people that come in here, and once the parent leaves the room, the child gets really open and honest, and what they really are looking for is connection. They want someone to say, I'm here for you. What can we do to help you? How can we support you? Instead of what you're doing is wrong. Why are you doing this? There is something wrong with you. We want to remove that stigma that something is wrong with someone if they have a mental health condition or if they have a substance use disorder. And a big thing I'd want to say to parents too is that it is everywhere. Whether you think that your kid is in a healthy environment or maybe they're not in the healthiest environment, it doesn't matter where they're at. If they are at a school, if they are going to different public events, we can have access to any medications anywhere, any substances anywhere. I have resources and learn knowledge that people are getting, marijuana, vape, meth off of Snapchat, off of different social media apps. So even if it's not happening within our school system, it's probably happening in our community. It's probably happening online too. So be aware, be alert, but be open. Be open to learn more and understand more. If you start exploring, looking into using or abusing substances before the age of 18, you're doubling your chances of having a substance use disorder. Because as a preteen or teen, although you have adult responsibilities and should absolutely be treated fairly and be treated that way, our brain is not fully developed yet. When it comes to substances too, and the community that we're in, we don't know what's being put in these substances right now, and that is what is so scary. I really want kids to know, if we're buying something off of Snapchat, or a friend of a friend who has a parent who, or a cousin who sells, a lot of things are being cut with very, very, very harmful drugs. People know how to press pills nowadays and create their own fake ones. People know how to lace things, and whether even it be marijuana that's being laced with something. We don't know always what we're going to be purchasing. And it may feel fun, it may seem fun, but there's so many negative consequences that can come with that. And so just like I told the parents to be open, that would be my challenge for children too. Be open to learning about it. I don't have a specific history myself with, a family member who I've lost, but I have definitely seen the impact that drugs and alcohol have of the people in my life. I know people in my high school that I helped go to rehab that were straight A students, and I remember staying the night at their house, and they stayed the night at my house, and I never would have even put two and two together. It only takes a couple times of using a substance for you to build that tolerance within your body. And then if you don't have it anymore, your body starts to tell you that you need it, and that's when it turns into a dependency, and we can start to completely change our lifestyle because of that. So it really can start really small and work its way towards an overdose, a death, incarceration, being a part of the legal system, losing our family, not having any housing. And I've seen that firsthand with the clients that I serve, but also with the people within this community and within many other communities in the state. So I guess I would tell kids this is real. Learn as much as you can about it and be open to having that conversation. Your parents are there because they want you to be safe, because they want to support you. Because a lot of people want to say, like, oh, not me, it's not me. And that's not the way that our brain works. And I think sometimes if we are scared of it, we may not notice some of those symptoms that are going on around us. If I deny it, if I act like it's not there, I can keep drinking with my friends and driving. I can keep, vaping behind the school and it'll be fine. But then all of a sudden the patterns come up, the behaviors come up, school gets involved, legal system gets involved, and we ask ourselves, how did I get here, right? But even if we just learn a little bit about it and improve our self-awareness, just kind of knowing what those symptoms are, knowing what the consequences can be, because they're there.